Aw, damn, we found ourselves a STAGG Junior. This is the 24D. It's a Buffalo Trace product, so it's the best ever, right? It's worth $3,000. That's what I think. I don't know. Probably not. But let's check out and see what the heck's going on with this newest STAGG release. Hello and welcome back to Drams for Dummies. I am the king of all the dummies, Brett. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully it's a return trip for you, and if not, that's even more amazing. Go ahead and right now, before you forget, click subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when these videos come out. And after you're done watching this and you realize, oh wait, it's called Drams for Dummies because he talks like us. He doesn't have a PhD in whiskey. He doesn't have 500,000 followers. He's not making $100,000 a year on his channel. He's not making zero. He's making $0 a year on his channel because he's just a dum-dum like us who likes to drink the juice, doesn't have any idea what it's all about, just likes to drink it and talk to each other about what our thoughts are and have no idea where we're getting them from. And so when you're like, that's me, that sounds like me. That guy's speaking my language. I get that. Then you can share it with all your other dummy friends and go, this guy speaks our language, and then we can all have a little dummy community that we all love and appreciate. But enough of the exposition. Today, look what we got. I mean, if you get a Buffalo Trace product, you know, you're automatically going to get 8,000 views just right there. I mean, they make the best stuff, right? Right? Now, go back in my channel and look at the do not ever overpay or do not ever pay more than MSRP for anything, especially Buffalo Trace, because as we know, if you're in the game at all, these guys, this guy, it's Big Brother, right? George T. Stagg, any of the E.H. Taylors, any of the Wellers, any of the whatever, right? Blantons, right? You just can't find them on their shelves. And I think our bourbon boom is over. I think we're coming back down to a reality. Things are sitting on shelves that never sat on shelves before. Some of the big things that were considered allocated, that would be like the wink and the nod under the counter to the good customers, are now sometimes sitting on the shelf or behind the counter, visible for a long time now. But the gosh darn Buffalo Trace, what the heck, man? Why do we have such huge erections over the Buffalo Trace line? I don't get it. Can you put in the comments below what's so goddamn good about Buffalo Trace? They're solid. They're really good. I've been to the distillery. I love it. They were my entry-level bourbon back in the day, right? When I was moving up to the good stuff and got a bottle of Buffalo Trace, you know, when you could find stuff on the shelves. I appreciated Buffalo Trace. I still appreciate Buffalo Trace, but the fact that this can't be found on the shelves is wrong. That doesn't make any sense. This is not usually any better than a $70 bottle, which is its MSRP. But we know that people pay $150, $200, whatever for this bottle, and you'll never see a George T. Stagg on the shelf. Jesus, I mean, that's ridiculous. You're going to pay $1,000 for that, and those prices are still holding for Buffalo Trace, where everything else is starting to either not have a secondary value or the values are coming way down. All that to say, though, I have always appreciated the STAGG line. STAGG Junior. I don't know why they changed it. I love STAGG Junior. Whatever. STAGG. I was excited to pick this one up without a lot of high expectations. I mean, the STAGG I have, you know, up there is considered one of the best, and it's good. It's fine. It's not, but it's not like knock your socks off. Certainly not worth, I don't think, chasing and spending $150 for. But I got this one. I had a drink out of it, and my first drink, which was a neck pour, and that's usually not the best one, and I believe in that, was pretty darn good, if I remember correctly. And then I gave a sample to Jeff, and here we are. So I'm having the second drink out of this with you guys right now. So STAGG, it's their low rye mash bill. It is, which is it's around 10% rye, so it's a low rye mash. And the Staggs are usually in that 7 to 9 year age range, so we'll just call it an 8 year. So if you can find one at MSRP at $70-ish bucks, great value typically, right? If you can find them at MSRP, I think you just always just pick one up and you just thank your lucky stars you found one. The problem is finding one. So let's see what this one has to offer to us today, all right? So I'm going to give it a little swirl and twirl. Again, comment below. You have this one? Do you have 24D? This is the last release of the 2024 year. So they're still sprinkling around. They're still coming out. They're still hiding on shelves. Distributors are still holding them back as little gifts for their good accounts. I don't know how it all works, the whole big game. Give a little swirl and twirl, get some air in there, get it up on the sides like we like to do. And let's see what we got. I will say on the outset, am I seeing legs? Well, I got it right to the rim, didn't I? We got a little rim forming there, but not real big dick. Big dick. That's great. Yeah, not real big dick energy going on. Which is kind of accurate, actually. So far, our color is medium. Our legs are light. So we don't have big dick energy coming off of this glass. I was going to say, I don't even know what I was going to say. Whatever. We're not displaying a exciting, oily, viscous, whatever. But let's see what's happening in the nose. Everything in Buffalo Trace, that cherry, everything that you like is coming out. Let me give a little sip to connect the nose and the palate. Well, now, gosh darn it. Now I'm getting some nice legs. No, maybe just like a tease. Just like, you know what? I'm not going to give you all of my secrets on your little fancy swirl and twirl. I'm going to make you put me in your mouth before I don't know what's happening. We got from big dick energy to putting it in the mouth. I need to do this, enjoy this with you, and give you my dummy thoughts, and then I need to have dinner. I think that's where we are at this point. All right, let's see what we have now that we've had a little bit of it, that big dick energy in our mouth. It's electric. It's electric. Do 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 do. I don't want to. There's not really a complexity in that nose, but it's what it's doing. It's doing it at like 11 Spinal Tap. You got that. You got a little bit of that oak spice, that rice spice, that char is down in there. You've got that cherry, almost medicinal, but not like off-putting cherry of the Buffalo Trace. As I keep going back to it, it keeps giving me a little bit different vibe and a little bit more layer, which I love. It's got a little that kind of oaky funk, but again, not off-putting. It's working well. Hashtag empty stomach bourbon burps. It's got everything. It's got the. Oh, I didn't give you the proof on this, did I? It's 127.4 proof. So it's giving you the I'm a proofy booger. It's giving you that spice. It's giving you the oak of the 8-year, right? It's giving you that sweet caramel corn action. It's got a little of that medicinal, cherry cough drop, but it's not sticking out at all. It's not overpowering. It's just it's mixed in. So far, this nose is it's got layers. It's bringing it aggressively, but it's very coherent and put together. Nothing's sticking out. Nothing's not matching. It's really nice. I mean, from the standpoint of just saying, hey, if you're a proof whore like me, if you like traditional bourbon, right? If you want all the traditional notes and you want high proof, man, this is good. And the more I kind of sit with it, it warms up a little bit. I spin it a little bit more of the creamy, rich kind of toffee comes out. That creme brulee almost. Like at first, it was hitting just like it was punching bright, but like not again overly, but just we're electric is what's happening. I think I sang for that. Now the rich and the caramel and the smooth is coming through as I just sort of stay with it a little bit longer. I'm going to go 8 for the moment, but gosh darn, it is an 8+. Palate time. That's pretty effing amazing. That is so good. That is doing everything. That's got. So as I kind of kept talking about the nose, and layers kind of started to kind of kept coming out and evolving, which I think that is the mark for me of a high quality bourbon or whiskey, when the nose keeps changing. It goes to here, goes to here, comes back to here, goes over to here, comes back to here, but it always is working too, like that, the levels and the layers in there, but they work. And then all of that just happened in the palate. Rich, deep, oaky, but also sweet, smooth, caramely, a little bit of spice. That was just really good. I need to take another drink to figure out. I neglect to say there was chocolate in that. And if I can get that chocolate, if I can get into the chocolatey world of a bourbon, then I'm really in my sweet spot, literally. I love deep, rich noses and palates, and this one is hitting that rich, but yet still has electricity, still has a little pop and zing, and also, for being as high of a proof as it is, it's got that life and that depth of the proof, but it is not overly harsh. It's not just kicking you in the taint hole. It is well-rounded, it is smooth, and it is rich, and this might be one of my favorite things I've had in a long time. Let's try it again. It's phenomenal. It's rich. It is chocolatey. It is oaky. On the back side of the palate comes some of the proof kick, some of the oak kick. I would say rye kick, but it's 10% rye, so that's not where it is. But golly, I would pour this for someone who says, man, I don't really ever like many things over 100, 110. I'd say you haven't experienced a real bourbon. You need to have this rich, smooth, fairly easy drinking experience, but understand then what happens when you get barrel proof right. This is amazing. This is a 9 on the palate. I don't give 9s and 10s very often. Let's see what the finish does. So 9 on the palate. Okay. Yeah, it's so good. This is so good. And I don't know, this has got so much kind of depth and complexity. Again, that definition of where palate ends and finish begins or whatever. This is definitely intermixing because the whole mouth is lighting up. It's coated. It's filling the mouth. And then it happens all the way down the throat. And flavors are going and kind of bouncing around. I got that kind of chocolate-covered cherry on the backside of that palate / front end of the finish on that one. You know, the finish to me is kind of where in this one the proof is coming out in the finish, the ride, the zing, the punch is coming out in the finish, not the palate as much. It's still kind of going a little bit. It's got a nice long run, that finish. I would say the tail end of the finish, it's a long one, so it's really nice. It's doing some fun stuff in there. It is giving you more of the experience part, feeling part, than the palate does. The very tail end, it gets a little bit astringent, but not bad. A little bit of that wet rag comes in at the very end. Hashtag bourbon burps. But it doesn't kill the drink by any stretch. But yeah, we're in that 7 to 8 realm, and I don't know where to live on that between good and really good. I think what I love about it is because of the high proof and the complexity and the age in there, is that it's sort of like, even as you're thinking about it, it's kind of throwing things at you and switching gears. Again, some of those switches in the finish aren't necessarily the best. They get a little bit astringent, they get a little bit funky. Drying, those things happen in the finish at times, but there's also a lot of flavor happening and kind of some different, it kind of comes back in different ways. And the experience is happening in the finish. So it's like, where do you want to live with this as far as a finish? I'm going to give it the 8 because I just think this whole thing is for what we're doing and what STAGG brings to the table regularly. I feel like this is really elevating. So let me see what the final score is going to be here. All right, so final score time. It is an 8 nose, really good, varies, it layers, it changes from time to time. On the whole, most of the time, it lives in kind of a bright, funky, fun world. Every so often, it brings in this rich side that I love more. So it's going to stay with an 8. If it's going to go anywhere, it'd go to more towards the 7. But I'm going to leave it with an 8. Really good nose. The palate is a 9. The palate is just rich and viscous. It fills the mouth. It's got a ton going on. And for the fact that it's a 100 and what is it? 27.4 proof. So it's a hot booger proof wise. It doesn't drink hot in the palate. Like I think I said earlier, this is one that you would give to your friends that are, I don't do high proof stuff. Well, do this one so you can say that you can understand how high proof doesn't necessarily kick you in the taint hole, right? Like this is when you do high proof done right, you're just getting the out of the barrel rich every flavor that's supposed to be there without getting the water in there and messing it up. This is doing that to an amazing level, to a 9 level on the palate, an amazing level. This is amazing. The finish is another one where you could go between 7 and 8. So the nose is up between a 7 and 8, and the finish between 7 and 8. And I am airing to be happy. My hangry, my low blood sugar is making me a loving person today. So I'm rounding up and going to 8s on both of them. They could go down to 7s. So a 7 nose and a 7 finish with a 9, that would be a different bottle. Okay. But in my case, I have an 8 nose, a 9 palate, and an 8 finish for an 8.3 bottle. In my world, that is a top shelfer. 8.2 and above is a top shelfer. This would be a top shelfer. If you're going to round, it's an 8, still a really good bottle. My thing on this would be, if you are a STAGG fan, if that's just something you chase and that's your jam, you got to chase this one. And if that's you and you're used to paying over, paying secondary, doing all that crap, I think you got to go find this one, and you just got to pay whatever the heck you pay for it, because that's your world. If that's not your world, and I would suggest to most of you, to 98% of you, do not ever overpay for anything. Don't pay over MSRP. They know what they have. They've priced it accordingly. It's a $70 bottle. If you find this at MSRP or darn close to it, you buy this all day long. You don't even think about it. You just buy it, and you giggle all the way home. Knowing it's around 8 years, it could be 9, it could be whatever, I would take this up to 90. So if you're at a store that's marked it up 10, 20%, it's a buy. I would say for this bottle, anything in that 100-ish range and down, it is a buy all day. This is an amazing example of what STAGG can be. It's an amazing example of what the Buffalo Trace Distillery can put out. I would like for you to all try this in some way, shape, or form. For a STAGG, I think this is one of the best STAGGs that I've ever had. That's just this dummy's opinion. Do with it what you will. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.